evening. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, as you know, the chamber is, brings everybody together because we feel that going forward for the future that we can move more together and we can't separately. And so I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I want to take a moment to introduce the chairman of our board this year, Annette Thunderberg, and she's going to make a few comments before we get started.
Can you hear me? Oh, it's very loud. Well, welcome, and I am Annette Thunderberg. I'm the president of Ingram State Technical College, which is one of Alabama's 24 community colleges, and it is an honor to serve as the chamber chairman for this year. I would like to welcome you and thank you for joining us on this Tri-Governmental meeting. Most of my career I've been in government, so meetings like this are important, but they can sometimes be difficult. But what is so important is that all of you that came out here tonight are interested in good government. And that's important to me, as it's what I've done most of my professional career. But it shows the leadership that each of you have within yourselves, within your entities, to come here tonight to join for the betterment of our community. It's always good to have discussions, and as the chamber, we would like to provide a forum like this so that you can come and have open discussions to facilitate important meetings. In leadership, communication is the key. Relationships are the key, and that's what we're here to provide for you today. And while we are our neutral body and a neutral entity, it is important to have discussions and take the next steps to publicly inform our public. As we walk through many of the decisions that you will and issues that you will work through tonight, please know that the chamber stands ready to provide future public forums such as this for good government discussions. Thank you.
Okay. So typically, as everyone knows, with these meetings, we try to give updates from each of the governmental entities, and I start normally with the state legislators. I did have a request to have a topic of education this evening. We're going to go ahead, but each of the entities, of course, can give any kind of update that they would like to at any, when we get to that. But I'm going to start out with our state legislators, like I usually do, and I've got Clyde on the phone, so I'm going to go ahead and let him get started with what he'd like to talk about this evening. So Clyde, I'm going to put this microphone close to this phone, so I've got it at loud, so you just go ahead and take it away.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes. Okay, we're good.
Okay. Thank you all for allowing me this method of input. I would very much prefer to be there, and I had intended to be there until this morning. Some of you may know my mom is in the hospital with COVID. She is very sick. She tested positive a week and a day ago and was hospitalized last Thursday. So I kind of thought, I would be fine as far as contact and that kind of stuff. But my dad started having symptoms last night, and he tested positive this morning. My dad has Parkinson's, so this is kind of something that we have really feared over the last 2 years. So here we are, and the Lord has them, and we know whose hands they're in, and we rest in that, and we'll do everything possible, humanly speaking, to make sure they return to us healthy. So having said that, with Dad testing positive this morning, and I've been around him all weekend taking care of him, I just didn't think I needed to bring those germs into all of you, and I hope you all understand that. There's really no other meeting that I would hate to miss than this one, more than this one. So I'll just have to give my update, and then we'll go from there. I'll be willing to answer any questions or have any dialogue that y'all would like. Some 30 years ago, I graduated from college, and I never envisioned that I would be able to come back to Prattville and Autauga County for my career, not because I didn't want to, but because there just really weren't that many engineering jobs in Prattville. I didn't know of any at the time. It happened that the assistant county engineer retired at the exact same time that I needed a job. So some folks would call that coincidence. I would call it divine. And I have just loved living in my hometown ever since. And my forefathers got here in the late 1830s, so we've been here a long time. So over these 30 years, as I've watched all the different issues, all the different education issues, non-education issues, but specifically education, I have been an opponent of the city school system. I have opposed that for several reasons, but philosophically, for duplication, to superintendents, to boards, to whatever. And my thought is that really just wouldn't solve anything. It would just split the system and it might help for a few years, but eventually it just wouldn't solve anything. And then also because, especially back 30 years ago, I knew that it would be devastating for the county schools if we did that. You'd have to have all that overhead out there, all the duplication, that kind of thing. The power plants made that somewhat better, but I still think it's probably not a good idea. So I wanted to set that basis to begin my discussion, to let you know where I am. And I haven't changed from that. I don't think it's a good idea. I think we need to fix what we have to make it as strong as we can and move forward. So on Wednesday, June the 9th, at 3 p.m., I met with Superintendent Tidmore, and he updated me on the thoughts about a 12-year countywide ad valorem tax. He told me the reasons why and gave me a little bit of details and all that. I committed to him that day that I supported that, I will support that, and will do what I can to make that happen. So anybody that I've talked to, and I've obviously had a lot of people contacting me over the last several months, most that were supportive, almost all that were supportive, lived in or around the city of Prattville, went to city schools in and around the city of Prattville, what everybody would know say is city schools. The almost unanimous, those who are against it were in the rural areas, and that's just the fact of the matter. So when it became clear to me that those that opposed it were going to be able to block it and it was not going to move forward, I started working on what else can we do? How can we solve this? How can we move forward? If we don't come up with some other solution, then we're going to stay exactly where we are, status quo, the lowest funded in the state, which we're the lowest state in the nation, so theoretically or practically we're the lowest in the nation. It's, in my opinion, time that we address that from the local level. Let me look at my notes here. My reasoning that we have to do something is that, from my perspective and in my opinion, our schools are in decline. My three daughters all went to Autauga County Public Schools, and they got a great education, and they have done really well in college and beyond, and I have been extremely happy with their level of education. However, they've been out of school a few years, and from the things that I'm hearing and knowing that's going on, I'm not so sure that I would make that same decision now. And that is reinforced by, with the Air Force, we've always been top on the list for officers and their families coming to the river region, and now we are at the bottom of that list. So it's not just anecdotal with me, it's not just my thoughts, And from what I'm told, most of the military officers just don't bring their children or family here anymore because of the education system. And that's not just Autauga County, that's primarily Montgomery County. However, I feel that our schools are going that same way. And so, you know, a lot of folks have said, I've said over the years, you know, money doesn't solve it, facilities doesn't give you an education, that sort of thing. However, if you look at any athletic program we have anywhere in the state, facilities do matter. And they are not the thing, but they are an important piece. And our facilities in the Prattville area are old and dated and need to be brought up to date to provide, number one, a good education, or the platform for a good education, but also to recruit those that are coming to this area. When they come to a early 1900s school versus a newer school, they're probably going to go to where the newer schools are. And I think we've seen that through Pike Road and Auburn and maybe other places as well. So it's interesting that my dad graduated from the high school in the same building that my children graduated kindergarten from. And my children graduated kindergarten about 20 years ago, plus or minus, depending on which one you're talking about. So, in my opinion, we must renew our investments in public education in Autauga County. I'm strongly behind that. Because I see no path forward for the countywide school tax to make it through the legislature, I've started working on a plan to try to address those who want it and not affect those who don't want it. Now, obviously, not everybody in the rural parts of the county don't want it. I understand that. And not everybody in the city do want it. I understand that. So putting all that together and looking at everything, Senate Bill 138 is the best option that I see that addresses all of those and at least moves us forward in some part of the county. It just so happens that the part of the county that is most vocally proposing this has generally the oldest schools. And the rural areas generally have the newer schools. I know there's an exception in Marbury with the school up there, and I know that's a need, and I've heard from people up there, excuse me, and I had thought very seriously about putting them into this initiative. However, I believe that brings in all of the issues that we've had with the other opponents. And what I've told those that have contacted me is support what we're trying to do. Please support what we're trying to do. And if it's successful, then we have an opportunity to address your issues as well. If this is not successful, or some variation of this, I don't see how we do any of it. Now, let me say this. If somebody has a better idea, better plan, talk about it, vet it, this is not done. It is 3 out of 6 are halfway through the process, but it can be amended in any way, it can be modified, it can be changed, but it's got to be something that is passable. If it's not passable, then it's counterproductive to try to change it. So this proposal was drafted specifically with the situation that we're dealing with here in mind. First of all, Prattville High School is not in the city limits. I'm sure all of y'all know that. So it could not be just a city limit vote. If we did that, then Prattville High School would not be able to benefit from it. If there is a new school in any of the outlying areas going forward, as has been talked about, then those, if they're not in the city limits currently, would be outside of the picture. So after looking at a bunch of different options and ways, it became apparent to me that creating a new special tax district consisting of the central school zone, central attendance zone, and the Daniel Pratt attendance zone. It includes all of the Autauga County portion of Prattville and then a band on the north and west sides of the city. So if a house is zoned right now to go to the junior high or the high school, they would be included in this new tax district. If they are zoned to go to one of the other schools, they would not be in this tax district. The vote would be of the people in the tax district, not the entire county. The benefit or the cost would be borne by those in the tax district, and the benefit would be for those in the tax district. So I'll say also, in my opinion, if this does not pass, you have hundreds, maybe several hundred million, maybe of thousands of dollars over the next 20 years that will have to be spent inside the special tax district. We all know that. The age of the schools are just going to dictate that. If this tax passes, then some portion of that is going to be able to be determined or free for the Board of Education to decide where it's needed. So that actually could be a benefit to those schools that are not inside the tax district. Now, definitely, they would not. That would not be enough money to build a school, but for maintenance items. And those are just my feelings. I've not got any direct feedback from the board or administration on those. Those are my thoughts. So I think I have covered it all in a nutshell. I've gone through that pretty fast, but I would be more than happy to answer any questions or clarify anything that I've said.
We got a question, Clyde. Hold on a
Okay.
second.
This is Commissioner Steinman, District 5. What I'd like to know is why do we think that the first agreement that we made will not pass? Why do you don't think the first agenda will pass? You want to change it?
Patty, can you repeat that?
Why the first agenda that we propose to you, why do you think it will not pass?
He's wondering why what the county commission proposed to did not pass.
Would not pass the people or would not pass the
Legislative.
Legislative.
Well, I don't think it has the support in the House.
And who? Have you talked to anyone about it?
So,
He said yes, he has.
Have you talked to the local speakers about it? Have you talked to Kevin, Lawrence? Have you talked to Mr. Van Smith, Will Dismute? Have you talked to them about it?
okay.
What was their thought on it?
You can ask them. I'm not going to repeat what they said. That they can answer that.
All right, Clyde, this is Van. He has talked to all of us about it. Why would that not pass? First of all, when we got together and knew it had been proposed, we discussed it. There were a lot of mixed feelings about it at that time, in the fact that it was an extremely large increase. Now, I don't have the time to go into my background as Clyde did, but I'm a public school person, always have been. My mother was, on and on. So I want to support our public schools. When I was a principal, when I was a county commissioner, those district lines don't matter to me because we were there to help the good of all. So when this was proposed, I felt like, and others felt like, that this was a tremendously large increase. In fact, behind the scenes, when y'all tabled the vote and sent it to a committee, there was a lot of input that came from many of us. For me, I put my 2 cents in, that let's do some smaller increase in ad valorem. We came up with 3 other methods to come up with the same amount of money as was proposed with the ad valorem tax. The ad valorem tax adversely affected the people in my district. So representing the people in my district who would not get a new school, then that may push me a little further toward the side of not being for that. But I was still on the fence until you had 2 meetings of the committee and a 3rd meeting was scheduled, and you skipped that meeting and went directly to a vote. At that time, I became even more firm against that because we didn't even wait to see that there were other possibilities. And understand the ad valorem tax, if you get into the numbers, and we don't have time to spend that much time on numbers, but my taxes would go up a lot more than taxes of individuals who live here in the county. I was even told, well, you have a farm, just go up on the price of what you sell. Well, those are traded commodities. You don't increase it like you do the price of a tire or windows if you're selling those, that kind of thing. You don't go up on the price of that. It's controlled by markets. So as we continue to look at it, we had hoped that they would come back with a recommendation that y'all would consider that had a smaller increase on the people who own land and that spread that increase over a larger group of people. One of the things, for example, in Chilton County, there is a tag tax that goes strictly to schools. On a truck like I have, it's $14.50. You say, well, it takes a lot of time to make up that kind of money. Well, in Chilton County, who has far fewer vehicles than we do, it raises $750,000 a year. Montgomery County, that same pickup is $68. So you can vary the percentage that we had about 4 different things, including an ad valorem increase, which the farmers and landowners would still bear a large portion of it with all the schools being built in the Prattville area. And I was even mentioned this, well, we've already built schools in the county. We did, and we appreciate that, but you did it without raising ad valorem also. So there seem to be some better ways, and y'all skipped the opportunity to at least listen to those better ways before you voted and sent it on to the House.
So what are you saying is, you more worried about the farmers than the others. So the way I'm looking at this whole picture is, so the people in the county is about to get left out regardless of what. Am I right? Am I correct?
Okay, how will they be left out anymore if there's no schools being built out there with the increase? If the increase that y'all proposed, there was not going to be anything for Autauga, Marbury, Billings, okay? With the increase that Clyde's talking about now, which I haven't made up my mind on, but the increase that he's talking about now, there won't be anything built out there either.
Well, the whole point that I'm looking at, I have to be honest with you. You was honest about, you more concerned about the farmers than anybody else.
That's not exactly what I said. I said the landowners and farmers.
So are you a landowner? Do you farm?
Sure.
You have a farm, right?
I do.
So the tax reflect you, and you in the legislature, right?
Sure. Here's one other thing too, Mr. Steinmeier. It would be real easy for me to just sign on with Clyde and let this go ahead and be done. because I don't get any votes, but for about 4 or 5 people in here. But I'm not doing that. I'm here to try to listen and to try to find a better solution. Now, I will quote some people who made the decision to send it on to us. This is all about the children, and I agree. Then let's put something up that will pass so it will benefit the children.
It can pass if you all want it to pass. I mean, the leaders right here in Autauga County, the leaders in Autauga County, you all are totally against it. You all not trying to get it to pass.
Let me do one more thing. I guess to do that. I had 4 people to ask me to increase the ad valorem tax in the county. 4 people. One of those was an elected official. The other 3 worked and got a paycheck from the school board. I had hundreds that said, do not increase the ad valorem tax. So here again, you say I'm not representing my constituents. Yes, I am trying to.
I think the fair way to do it is just try to pass it and let the people vote it down. I mean, that's an easy thing. If the people don't want it, vote it down. It's easy. Do you see that picture that way?
Understand how many people own the land?
No, the question is, do you feel like we're taking away the right for the people to vote? I don't care whether it pass or not. Let the people vote and pass and not pass it. I mean, you all making the decisions for everybody.
Not even the bill that Clyde has proposed?
Okay,
now?
if you take the bill to them, if it don't pass, okay, just come back and say it didn't pass.
I'm a no vote on the countywide ad valorem tax going to 25 mil.
Okay.
Or 23.
But if you think about it, you blame the county commissioners because you said we moved too fast.
You moved one step too quickly, yes.
So the way local legislation works is if a bill gets filed that on a local comes from the county commission, comes to the legislature, if one of us doesn't agree or sign off on it, then and we say we disagree with it, we have a problem with it, we can kill the bill. And so I was very upfront from the get-go that I was a no on the vote. I went to Mr. Tidmore before it ever went to the county commission. I talked to Mr. Tidmore and said, Mr. Tidmore, this is dead when it gets to the legislature. I said, if it passes the county commission, it's dead. I said, I'd like us to look at it and maybe do like a 3-phase plan. I said, it doesn't have to be that. I just threw that out there, 5, 5, and 5, 7, 7, 7, 7 and 8. I mean, some variation to get there where we can get it through the legislature, where it can come to the people to vote on, and then you don't have people from all over, including us, that have a problem with it. My district is the city. I mean, I've got part of the Powell's farm in my district. That's the most farmland that I've got in my district, if you can count one tiny square of their property. I went to Mr. Tidmore, and then I left that meeting, and then it goes to the county commission. I was at that county commission meeting when it was tabled. I heard both sides of the argument, from some screaming in support of it, and some people very angrily screaming in support, screaming against the bill. And what I gathered from listening to the county commission speak is that they were going to truly put forth an effort for, one, being transparent. Number 2, that they were actually going to form this committee, that they were going to discuss it, talk about it, come up with a plan that seemed like it could go across all lines. Not that everybody is going to sing Kumbaya at the end of it, but that we obviously made an effort to reach some middle ground. Well, 2 meetings, y'all have 2 committee meetings after y'all tabled it, and I just happened to be part of a group giving away a grant at the county commission prior to the county commission's meeting that night. And I saw that there was something about the ad valorem tax on the agenda. So I sort of I guess my antennas went up, but I had to go. I'd already committed to teaching to current and retired teachers, and Representative Smith was with me as well. So I had to leave, and then all of a sudden, I get wind that it's passed. Well, I really have a problem with that. You know, we can have our problems outside of our political office, but in my opinion, if we tell the people that we're going to do something, that we're going to be transparent, that we're going to work to reach across common ground, I believe that we should uphold our word on that. I fully believe that because a third meeting was not held and this was passed when nobody had any earthly idea in the common public that it was coming, I have a problem with that, and I can't stand by and just let something like that just go through and then say, hey, we should just let the people vote on it. If we tell people that we're going to talk, that we're going to be transparent, that we're going to notify people, let the public know what's going on, I think that we should uphold that part of it. And with all that being said, from the very beginning, before it even came to y'all in the county commission, I said, we need to do something that's going to pass. From the very beginning, I said this was going to have trouble, and I wasn't going to make it. I just was made aware of Clydesville last Tuesday. I've got some reservations with it just not being countywide. Look, I've got a son at the kindergarten. I've got 2 little girls that, Lord willing, they're going to be coming right in behind them. So I'm not anti-schools. Like my grandparents graduated in 1947 from what's now the kindergarten. My dad graduated from the kindergarten when it was a high school in 1971. I mean, my family has ties to the school system that are strong, and I want to see it flourish and move forward. But we have to be accountable for what we tell the public. We have to be accountable for what we say on voting and what we have going on. And that's why I'm a no and a firm no. And I literally just got the Senate bill, and I've got some issues with it, but I need to get with Senator Chambliss and work on some of that. I mean, I just got the bill, so I really can't say that I'm for it or against it, just because I haven't had enough time to really study it. So
you telling me all this problem is because of a third meeting?
If there's planned committee meetings and then y'all pass something in the dead of the night when people aren't properly notified, whether it's city council, whether it's the legislature, whoever it is, I got a problem.
Well, my understanding, it wasn't a meeting planned.
In the county commission, it was brought up and people agreed that yes, there was supposed to be a third
I
meeting.
talked to 3 people on that board 2 days prior to our meeting Tuesday, and they said nothing about a third
They
meeting.
didn't say anything about a third meeting.
Mr. Threadkill said something about it in the meeting.
Did people not agree that it was?
I had 3 people say that there wasn't a third meeting. And I can call 3 people right now, and they say, we knew nothing about a third meeting. So don't blame it on us.
Don't you telling me that you all made your decision because of a third meeting, something that they said they didn't even have?
I told y'all I had a problem with it before, but after y'all did what y'all did, yeah,
because we made a decision that let you all put it on the ballot.
Y'all lied to the people.
What lie?
Me through the citizen of a dark county.
Excuse me, we should be calling nobody a lie.
What lie?
And you're a public official, you gotta know better than that.
I mean, what lie did we tell?
Truth's the truth, sir.
I mean, what lie?
The fact that y'all said that y'all were going to be transparent, that y'all were going to have meetings, that y'all were going to inform the public, that there was going to be I had committee members tell me there was supposed to be a third.
I told you that.
And on January the 3rd, y'all knew it was too late, so the third meeting didn't matter. Y'all had already passed it. I mean, y'all want honesty and transparency, I'm giving it to you.
Honest and transparent. That's what you said? That's what you tried to say? Oh.
Can I object for a second?
Excuse me, let
Okay, go ahead.
Let me speak. I'm John, Mr. Clyde, John Thrillkill here.
Don't blame it on us.
I am part of the county commission, and when I hear this, everything I hear has been accurate. We did have an additional meeting planned. We had people present that are in this room that know that there was a meeting planned. Well, we went ahead and when we table something, we table it, and it does come back on the agenda. And whoever is sitting in that meeting has the right to either vote or table it again. So it is the prerogative of whoever wants to vote on it to go ahead and move forward on the vote. I felt like it was time to table it again. Others felt like it wasn't. But there was a meeting planned. So whatever was chosen to do was chosen to do, and it's time for us to move past it. But those aren't the facts.
That's not the facts that I got.
Mr. Stedmeyer, I shared that with you, and look, you asked, and I shared it with you.
You did.
And you didn't.
You did.
You didn't see it that way, and that's fine. I didn't impose my will. But those are the facts.
So everything is based on a third meeting. That's my question.
Well, I can't answer that, but what I can share with you is our board president.
Okay.
Hold on, Mr. Stedmeyer. Our board president and our administrator were both there in attendance when the third meeting was scheduled. So our board president is sitting right there, and you can ask him. Our administrator is sitting right here, and you can ask him. So it's not that I created this. But whatever the case, we got to move past this now because it was tabled. It has to come back up on the agenda, and then we have to make a decision on whether we're going to vote for it or not. And so that was it. We voted. It didn't go the way I wanted it to because I felt like we needed to have more common ground. We had looked at potentially, there was plenty of options. One of the things that was discussed, and Mr. Manderson, not to put him on the spot, but he was there, and he knew that this was proposed. And look, I don't want to say that I know what's best for Mr. Tiddemore or the school board or anybody. But here's something that was discussed is potentially a 5 mil increase, which currently we're at 10. If we move to a 5 mil increase, it would bypass the House of Representatives and go straight to the vote of the people. So that's what I was hoping for, so that we could get immediate relief, and then we would also know the appetite for the people if they want to continue to vote for more. So that was all that I was proposing. Also, we talked about car tax. We talked about whether it be a sin tax that could be out there. So there was a number of different issues that we could have looked at, or ideas that we could have looked at to potentially look at raising the revenue for the school system. But look, it didn't go the way I wanted it to. I'm going to have to move past it. So I want what is best. Us arguing isn't going to get us anywhere. But just so we know, there was a third meeting scheduled. But let's move past it.
Okay, that's what you want to do, move past it. We can move past it. I want to move past it also. But I also want to be fair. My thing over there, so y'all come up with this plan to leave the schools and the county completely out.
No, sir. I learned.
Not you.
Well, I think everybody learned about it this past week.
Okay, but you're leaving the county schools out.
Well, I don't like that. And I would want to see everybody benefit. And I shared that with Senator Chambliss on the telephone, and he would agree with that he and I talked about it. But look, it's his plan, and he has that power and that right.
Okay, well, he has that power and that right. That's correct. But you said that what we'll do, we'll almost make this a city school, and then money that they won't have to worry about doing maintenance with, put it out in the county schools. But who's gonna write an agreement on that? The school board gonna sign off on that?
You're asking me a question.
The school board gonna sign off on that?
Mr. Stedmeyer.
The school board gonna sign off on that?
You're asking a question.
If they,
That's fine.
I'm talking,
Take this.
if my understanding that the money that they use to repair schools, they will not have to repair schools in the city, but they're gonna take that money and put it in the county schools. Who's gonna sign off on that?
Sign off on
all the money that you don't do the repairs on, that money going out in the county.
I think that would be an understandable thing.
How that's gonna work?
Well, first of all,
Are you gonna sign off on that? Are you gonna say, okay, any repairs that need to be done in the city, we won't have to worry about doing that anymore, and we're gonna save that money, but we're gonna take that money and put it in the county?
Let me address that.
You can't do that.
Yes, we can. We do it.
If you do that, Mr. Manners, come on. If you do that, how you know how much money that you're gonna be getting?
Let me tell you what we do every year. We start in about May building a budget for the new school year. Okay? And what we do is we base that budget on anticipated revenues based on what we received last year, based on our ADM, based on what the foundation program will provide us. And we have to allow a certain amount of money for maintenance, utilities, and so forth across the county. And we have to look at the consumption in each school. We have to look at the needs of each school throughout the county. We take a large portion of our revenue that we anticipate coming in to address those issues. If we had newer schools, and just take the kindergarten school, that's been mentioned several times here. The kindergarten school is a very inefficient school. Its plumbing, its wiring, its roof, all have problems, and we've addressed those. If we didn't have to spend as much money budgeted for repair to that school, then that money, if it was replaced with a new school, we could move that money and budget it for repairs or enhancements in the other schools throughout the county. We possibly could add units to provide courses that we cannot provide today because we're not funded for. So there is ways of allocating that money through the budget process to direct it to the schools, and then it's our responsibility to spend that money as it's budgeted. Once we submit our budget, that money is pretty much locked in to where we say it's going to go. So that's the way we would ensure that any revenues that were over and above what was necessary in the central zone and in the Daniel Pratt zone, this new tax district, that's the way we would ensure that that money reaches all schools throughout the county. And that's the process, and we do it every year.
So this tax money that coming into the city, they're gonna have better facilities and athletics departments and all of that, but the schools out in the county is not gonna have the same, because we're gonna have to sit and wait until they build a school before we can get some money so they can,
We're already taking care of the needs in the county as best we can.
as best you can.
Right, and just like we're doing in the city.
Okay, as best you can. I can understand that. But we're trying to do better for the schools in the city right now, correct?
Well, we, in the past, and it's already been mentioned here tonight, we have taken care of the needs in the county more in the recent past than we have in the cities, in the central zone. We've got a fairly new school at Billingsley. We try to keep that school up. We built a new gymnasium there. We enhanced the stadium. We've spent $500,000 improving the stadium. We built a practice field up there so that they can practice outside the field house that they have. We've done that. We've done things at Marby High School. We've added. We're in the process now of building a new wing on Marby High School. We've done the same thing. We've improved in every school. We've done what we could to meet their needs based on the funding that we had. All I'm telling you, and what this will do, it will increase that amount of discretionary funds that we will have to apply to those things by saving money on energy and other things on the older schools in the central zone.
You take Marvin Middle School, need some more. Talk about these middle school. You take Autauga down there, they need a lot of things down there in Autauga.
I agree.
So why are we gonna leave them out?
We're not going to leave them out.
Oh, yes, the way we're going, Bill.
We will still be receiving funds. The funds that are being collected, we'll still have those funds for the schools outside this special tax district.
It seems to me we trying to create a city school just to satisfy the farmers.
Well, all I'm saying is that any funds that come to us, we will spend them as they're collected, and we'll spend them where they need to be spent. That's all I can assure you.
It's still the same. You're trying to create a city school and leave the county schools out just to satisfy the farmers.
Well, that's a perception that I can't change, okay? I'm sorry.
Mr. Anderson, can
Good evening to everyone. My name is Kelvin Lawrence. I represent House District 69. I live in Hayville, Alabama, so I represent Lowndes, Wilcox, parts of Montgomery, formerly parts of just outside of the city limits of Autauga. Now I have portions of the city limits in Prattville. I'm glad to be here with you guys today. look forward to working with everybody. I know some familiar faces, some faces I don't know, some faces I have never seen before, but I want to change that in the near future. As it relates to the ad valorem tax here in Autauga County, I really haven't given it much thought simply because speaking with my colleagues, you know, they've informed me that they're adamantly opposed for whatever reasons, and some of those reasons have been stated or established here tonight. But what I wanted to say is this right here. I have about, I represent 2 whole counties, parts of 2 other counties. And so that's 4 different county commissions, 4 different school boards. Sometimes it's 4 different city councils. So what I do is, when I'm making decisions like this, I try to take Kelvin out of the way. And what I mean by that is, I've always adopted a policy that if city council or school board or county commission votes for an initiative unanimously or 1 dissenting vote, that I would support it. Whether I agree with it or not, I would support it. Because I feel like, as a local governing body, the people elected you guys to make those decisions. I don't feel like Kelvin's personal issues should get in the way of an issue that a certain body or a certain board wants to see happen in their community. And so that's the stance that I've always taken. Sometimes it's been harder than others. We're dealing with the same issue right now in Wilcox County. The majority of the people that I've spoken with, they're adamantly opposed to an increase. It's actually basically 100% increase. They want an increase from 10 meals to an additional 20 meals, which would make it 30 meals. And that's one of the poorest counties in the state. It's going to affect some of the poorest people that can't really afford it. But my position was, if the county commission voted unanimously for an issue, I would support it, whether I liked it or not, and give the people the opportunity to vote it up or down. That's kind of where I've been. That's kind of where I'm going to try to stay that way. I don't get into any issues of what Kelvin wants, what Kelvin thinks is best, because you know sometimes those things that kind of get to your point where you're looking over your shoulder sometimes and you're wondering what you do, what you didn't do. So I just want to give that comment. I'm neither for or against the particular ad valorem tax here in Bravo, simply because I want to say I'm in a unique position. I don't have to make a decision because some of my colleagues have stated that it's not going to move forward. And if that changes, then I would definitely kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of rethink as to whether I'm going to be for or against it. As it relates to the new proposal from Senator Chambliss, we did speak with Senator Chambliss. He did give us heads up that he was going to try to change this initiative, not because he thought that this issue was better than the one that was previously introduced. He just felt like we was at a dead end with the first initiative, so he felt like he wanted to do something, although I don't agree with it because I've represented most of the county portions of Autauga in the last couple of years, so I don't know the ins and outs of how it would affect the county, how it wouldn't. So I think that if you're going to vote for an ad valorem tax in the county of Autauga, whether it's a city school or a county school, everyone should have an opportunity to participate.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the county commission for what they did for moving this along. It was requested, you were asked lots of times, and I think it went 4-1 on the vote. And before I get into that real quick, first of all, I will speak for not only myself, but I think I speak for most of the council members and the mayor, and I say The word we keep hearing tonight is city school system. This is not, you feeling, Mr. Simmons? This is not for a city school system. Okay, that is a myth.
I'm glad you clarified.
That is a myth. We're not pushing a city school system. The city is not behind this tax. The city is not voting for this tax. The city has nothing to do with any of this. So we should move on from that. That's for all you like to go on Facebook or wherever. This is not a city school system. Tell the world, God and everybody. Okay, this is not who we are. This is not our job. Now, let's get back to the county. Thank you, Jay, for everyone what y'all did. They had an open forum meeting where I like to know if any of y'all remember the movie Hoosiers, where everyone got together about a basketball coach, but it was a night like that where everybody in the county just came down to a meeting, with open county commission meeting, and viewed their opinions and had their ideas, yay or nay. At the end of the day, this is still America. People should be allowed to vote on something so important as this, whether yes or no, whether you support it or do not support it. You should be allowed to vote. Now, Mr. Smith and Mr. Dismukes, the night the county had those open forum meetings, why did either one of you not come down here and give your opinion or your idea of what could happen?
I spoke.
You did? Okay. So a way to take your ideas and use those.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, let me just say, yeah. Oh, no,
The reason I didn't
Okay.
speak to it, way back, kind of like Will said, I went and met with Mr. Tidmore a long time before that, and I said, I know what you need, I want to help you get it, but I'm going to be on the opposite side of you with this because of the people I represent. Mr. Tidmore and I,
Okay.
he and I have had a great relationship. Told him that up front. I told these guys that I was on the borderline. There was already one no vote. I was on the borderline, and whether you like it or not, when the third meeting of the committee was not held, that pushed me to be a no.
Okay, well, I don't know anything about the third meeting, but I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I don't think
I
this is the proper forum to make accusations against these people over here. But what I'm saying is we've kicked this can down the road for so long. Okay, currently we're fourth or fifth, I've heard 4 or 5, whatever, medium income in the state of Alabama, Autauga County. Fifth, thank you, Mr. White. We stay where we are, 20 years from now, we're going to be in the bottom 40 of median income in the state of Alabama. We're going to lose military, we're going to lose industry. People are coming to us wanting jobs, bringing their stuff here, bringing all their business here. We can't allow, we're at a crossroad. I asked everyone in this room that was here a year ago to raise your hand if we thought we were underfunded for our county school system. Everybody 100% raised their hand and said yes. Now we'll talk about amounts. Pike Road, 45%. Montgomery just went another 20 up to 20%. Auburn, 18%. These are not undoable numbers. This is not going to break anyone that I'm aware of, and if they are, that's something that we will address, or county and board can address. But you come in and we're saying, well, my people said they don't want it. Well, Senator Chambliss, he sees the big picture. So Senator Chambliss has come up with a way for us to not everyone get left behind. When I use the word left behind, because if the representatives, Mr. Dismukes and Mr. Smith, don't think that their constituents in the county have a right to vote for it, and they're not able to make an intelligent enough decision to vote for it, then that's on them. This isn't on Mr. Chambliss. This isn't on the city. So at the end of the day, hypothetically, which I hate speaking in hypotheticals, if this does pass, and the area around Prattville, not the city school system, because there's no such thing, gets additional funding, and then the people in Autaugaville and the people in Billingsley and parts of Marbury are concerned about their facilities and the money going to their school systems, all I ask is they pick up a phone and call you, Mr. Smith, and call you, Mr. Dismukes, and ask you why you didn't think I had the capability to vote for such a thing. The rest, 80% of the rest of the county, they should be allowed to vote. I think 100% of the county should be allowed to vote. I don't understand why you gentlemen don't think people aren't allowed to vote and make their own decisions. It's very important. This is it, y'all. This is our last bullet in our gun. If we don't do something now, we're going to be sitting there 20 years from now, still at 10%, falling off a cliff with our education. And it's not going to be fault of the Board of Education. It's not going to be a fault of the superintendent. No, it's not. I went to Prattville High School. All my kids and my wife did too. There are great teachers here, great educators in this county. But we're going to be left behind with facilities and technology, and we're going to lose the Air Force backing us, and we're going to lose a lot of other things. So I guess my simple question, well, I got one more question, then I'll get to the other question. How are there assurances made if this vote goes through and this area is passed that it's getting its fair share because its citizens are being taxed, and the rest of the county is getting their normal share because they aren't being taxed? We need assurances, we need audits, we need bookkeeping, we need proof that an area is getting taxed, is getting what they're supposed to be getting taxed for their school, and that money should go toward them. It doesn't mean just because Prattville Junior High School is getting us money, Autauga Junior High should get the same amount of money, because those people aren't being taxed the same as these citizens. That's why they're voting for it. But I guess I go back to just the logic of, if it's a amount that you're concerned about, we've had plenty of time to come up with an amount, a tax amount, 15%, 5%, 20%. 3%, 5% is not going to hardly move the needle. We need to go further than that. But to take the vote away from the county citizens, I can't even understand why you wouldn't think that people in this county can make the decision, yes or no, what's right for this county. So that's it.
Okay, well, I just want to be able to give the other governmental entities an opportunity to speak. So, Superintendent, do you have anything that you'd like to say from the Board of Education?
Just from anything besides?
Yeah, whatever you know. It doesn't have to be about that particular topic. Just like tell us what's going on.
Well, we're in school. We did have to be virtual for a period of time, but thankfully our numbers have decreased drastically over the last couple of weeks, and knock on wood.
Tim, the mics are on.
Orange.
Yeah.
So we're good to go for right now until another variant of COVID comes across. We are going right along. We've got just a little, right at 9,000 students. We'll be on our ADM. And so our teachers are working hard every day educating them, and they're doing a phenomenal job along with the administrators and all the support staff and bus drivers. So things are rolling right along.
Mayor, you have anything you'd like to say? Not putting anybody on the spot, I'm just opening it up.
Okay, thank you. Well, I guess I do have a couple of questions about some of our Senate bill there. Has anybody been able to come up with a good guesstimate of what the dollar amount might be that this bill might generate? I know there's going to be a significant difference between the county-wide and its local, the central district and the Daniel Pratt district, and how will that affect your game plan on that one as well? And then I guess also to piggyback off of Robert Stritch brought up about as well, how are you going to be able to have the funds totally separated so that way the local citizens, mainly in Prattville, be able to feel comfortable that those dollars are being kept because they are being asked to carry more of the burden. How are we going to be able to convince the citizens of that? And
well, as of right now, the 3 meals that we have, or the 3 pots of meals that we have, each has a different special use code. So when they come in, the special use code would be tagged with that. So it would be easy to match up from the county records into our records. As far as the amount, the 15 meals would be about $150 on a $100,000 parcel, if you want to use that same type of thing, so you could figure the math and extend it out that way. Like y'all, I saw it about the same time y'all did, and it really just started tearing into it. We've had some other things that we've had to work on, but those were just the initial, the initial things that we noted from it just by our first glance.
But anyway, the overall dollar amount, we really don't know how that might impact your overall budget.
I have not figured the total amount per year that it's going to, because like I said, I've had it at the same time y'all had it.
And I realize it's not your bill, so is the senator still on the phone?
Clyde, can you hear?
Yes, not.
Clyde?
Yeah.
Hey.
Can you hear the mayor's question?
Yes.
The
answer to that question is we need to determine that because I just introduced it last week. I don't know the answer to that yet, but we will be getting an answer to that. And the bill requires it. It will be an amendment to the Constitution. So it will be a constitutional requirement that the money collected within the special tax district is used in the tax district. If it were not, for whatever reason, there would be severe penalties for that, because it'll be a constitutional requirement to do that.
yes, and I appreciate that, and I understand that, but I think we all realize that there's been some questions and concerns over the years about how monies have been used appropriately, but seems like sometimes they have been massaged a little bit so that way, and I know it's been very difficult because we're all very much budget restrained and all that other, but it seemed like if there was a dollar given, then it could have been as a grant or whatever it might happen to be, then sometimes those other dollars that those grants replacing go somewhere else. So those are some of the concerns I've been hearing from citizens, and as well they start hearing about this bill, but most certainly.
My guess is that because this initiative is primarily for or buildings infrastructure, you're going to have a large debt service, and it's going to be probably pretty easy to track.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, and being in the executive role over here with the city for some time now, three things that I've really found that when you have a service-oriented organization, you got to have good people. You got to have equipment, which can be buildings and other items like that. But then also you got to have funding for projects as well, because it takes all three of those. And so I hope we can find a solution to this. But education is very, very important. I think our streets, our sewers, and our schools are three of the things that really connect so many of us. But and talking about moving right on along and talking about some of the projects that we have, there's a lot of infrastructure and street projects going on. There's also the downtown scape is looking a lot different than it has for many, many years. And old fencing has come down off of Bridge Street today, and then paving should be starting on Washington Street and next month, first part of next month. I think we also have a work session tomorrow night at 5:30 at City Hall. We're going to be talking about the redistricting of the lines. We're going to be talking about some of our federal funds. We're also going to be talking about short-term rentals. I almost forgot about that one. But so everybody can come out about give us some input, and I don't believe it's going to be an open mic, but I will be there, be willing to listen and talk to anybody and everybody on there. But we do have quite a few projects, and I'm actually hoping that some of the items that we're working on and talking about tonight and tomorrow night will actually help bring us more together instead of separating us, because there are more items that bring us that we have more in common than actually separate us. So that's it.
Does anybody from the county update or talk about what's going on there?
First of all, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Appreciate the audience. It's great anytime we have this many people together speaking about education. I know we brought up it's been 30, 40, 50 years since had any serious talks about education. There's no silver bullet. There's no arrow that's going to work for everyone. We're a diverse county. We have corners of the county that are all farmland, all timberland, and we have corners of the county that are all city and all industry. And so if you put your plans together, it's hard to put a plan together that suits everyone's needs. And it's a difficult process. I think we've learned a lot through this process. Either way it goes, win, lose, or fail, passes, don't pass. I think we've learned that sometimes we need to get way out ahead of something. Sometimes something like this, you can work on it for 2 or 3 years before you bring a proposal up to the public to vote on, not 2 or 3 weeks, a month. 1 meeting, 2 meeting, 3 meeting. It takes hundreds of meetings. We could have 20 meetings and still be arguing about what the number needs to be, what the magic bullet is, because my corner of the county is going to be different than John's corner of the county, different than Bill's corner of the county, different than the Billingsley area. There is no secret bullet, but we do all know that the situation our school systems are in, and they're not getting any better. I've had numerous conversations with people that are lifelong practical folks that their grandparents or great-grandparents graduated from Autauga County schools. They're looking for other education opportunities for their kids that are in the school system now because they don't feel like it's adequate. I think that's a shame. So we all know we have to do something. We all need to work together to do something. Pointing fingers, yelling back and forth. He said, she said, 1 meeting, 2 meeting, 3 meeting, 4 meeting, 5 meetings. It doesn't really matter. What matters is we need to improve our education system. We need to all come together. You know, we may be talking about this again next year. I don't know if Clyde's bill will pass. I don't know if the original bill will pass. I had just as many people that wanted to vote for it that wanted to vote against it. So probably 50-50 from my standpoint. But I do think it's great that we are at a point that education is being talked about. Moving forward, the importance of teamwork, working together, you know, it's going to be critical. I think there's been a lot of snags along this way that we could have improved on. We could have done some things different. And we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. I don't really have an opinion on Clyde's bill yet. I'm still studying it. I know some people say that, well, I've heard, you know, if Prattville passes it, well, then it may spur the Billingsley area to do their own little tax, or the Marbury area to do their own little tax, or the Autaugaville area to do their own little tax. But also, Avalon tax is not the same in every area either. If you take the Autaugaville area and look at Avalon tax in the Autaugaville area, I don't know what that number would be. It'd probably be 200 meals to actually make a difference. There's a lot of farmland, a lot of timberland, so it's current use. The Billings area is going to be another area that, I mean, how much would you have to raise the millage to make a difference just for the Billings area? It would be astronomical to just tax the Billings area to make a tax that would make a difference. Pine Level would probably be the least of all of them, but they would probably still be up there 50 or 60 mills to actually make a difference because business and industries are not there. The big dollar amounts are not there. Most of it's timberland, farmland. So it takes the whole county to make it work, in my opinion. What that number is, I don't know. I would want to heavily lean on the school to tell us that number. So moving forward, hope we can all work together, come together. I know we're not going to agree. We disagree on a lot. We disagree on a lot of easier things than this. But I do appreciate all those that work. I do appreciate the board actually putting something up. Win, lose, or draw, I commend them for actually stepping up and doing something, or saying something, trying something that hasn't been done in years. But like I said, I don't know what that actual number is. I've yet to hear an actual number of what the 12 mills will generate at this point, so I don't know if that's adequate or not. So maybe too much, maybe not enough, I don't know. Be interested to know what that number was. Be interested to know what the 15 mills is in Prattville. Is that too much? Is it enough? That's the numbers we don't have. So just going back to, starting early. I mean, if anyone asked that, if Dan Smith want to know what that number was, or John or Bill, what's that number? That's the number we should know, and we don't. So, it's our own faults for not getting out front, working harder, trying to figure out what some of this stuff actually means, because I haven't been able to explain to people what 12 mills would bring, or what anything would bring actually. So, so now I'm even more confused with 15 mills. And, I do have folks that live in the city limits of Prattville and outskirts of Prattville that will be affected. Have a lot more people that live outside that are affected. So, I'm worried about that area also. So, and what that millage will look like in the future that might be put on those people. I guess I rounded on a lot. I just want to throw those few things out there that, we're looking at the county as the same millage in Prattville, the same millage in Billingsley, Autauga, Marbury. It's not. So I think it's going to be a little difficult in the future if we do a citywide and then ask for those areas to raise a millage up to build a building or to build an athletic facility. I don't think they could ever raise it enough at where they're at right now to make a huge difference with the type of land that's out there. So that's just food for thought for the ones that are working on this. That's something I haven't answered yet. But like I said, there's a lot of still what ifs and don't know. So, but I do appreciate everybody that has worked on it. Like I said, I know there's been some rub here and there, and arguing back and forth that accomplish anything. I appreciate our house members being here tonight, giving their advice. Appreciate Clyde, what he's doing. I know he's in a difficult situation with his parents, and he's still working on this, so I appreciate that. So hopefully in the future, we can all work together and bring forth the best thing for our school system.
Anybody else have any comments? We'd like to from our elected officials here. Clyde, do you have any further comments?
No, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Tidmore, just for clarification purposes, or maybe Clyde, you can answer this. The plan is still that the county would still get the same millage it's getting now, right? That's not going to change. There's still opportunity there for that millage to help with their buildings and their needs. Is that correct?
That's correct. This will not reduce their funding in any way.
Okay, so they're still getting the same thing no matter what. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
How many in the room understands what the foundation program funds? No. Good. Okay, I think the rest of us need to get educated. The foundation program funds based on our average daily attendance, so many days into the new year, and the state requires a 10 mil levy in each county to participate in the foundation program. There have been 2 votes in Autauga County that equal 7 mills. The legislature in 2006 passed an amendment or an act which stated that every district had to collect at least 10 mills to participate in the foundation program. So that was an amendment 778, I believe, which levied the other 3 mills. So 10 mills. Now let me explain how that works. When you take your enrollment and other factors of your district, the foundation program comes up with a value. That value, in order to earn that or to receive that, you have to collect 10 mil. That 10 mil is subtracted from your foundation allocation. So if your foundation computation is $56 million in Autauga County, that's reduced by a little over $7 million, and we received the balance of $48 million. So when you collect 10 mil, you have no discretionary funds from that. That's money that's out of the foundation, that's taken from your foundation allocation. Until you get to 11 mil, you don't have any extra money to spend. That's a fallacy that is not explained very well, and everybody thinks a 10 mil county, oh, no, that's 10 mil to play in the foundation program. That's not extra money you get. And so until you get to 11, 12, 13 mil, that's money that can stay, that's additional money in the county that can be spent on facilities. So everybody needs to understand that a 10 mil county is not getting any discretionary funds from the county to operate. We're getting funds from the county to operate based on sales tax and public school construction funds, which is about $500,000, and that's our discretionary funds. The ad valorem that we collect, we don't benefit from. When your ad valorem tax goes up, you pay more. We don't receive that. The state keeps it. So you need to understand how this works. The second thing is most people don't understand how the ad valorem is assessed in the county. All your ad valorem tax doesn't go for education. The millage rate in the city of Prattville is 31 mil, am I correct? Am I correct? 10 mil of that goes to education, which is reduced from the foundation program that we earn. So we don't get any extra money from the 10 mil that's collected in the city. You go to Autauga, it's 32 mil, I believe. 10 mil is collected for education. The rest of it goes to other city services and also state services. So your assessment is based on the value of your property, assessed at 10% if it's residential, or farmland, or 20% if it's commercial, and 30% if it's utility. And that's what the actual millage rate is multiplied by, that assessed value, to determine what your ad valorem tax is. Now, if you want a quick way to figure out how much this 12 mil increase would amount to, if you're in the city and you're currently paying 31 mil, increase that to 43 mil and multiply times your assessment value, and you'll see what you do. And I've done it to hundreds of accounts across the county, and the 12 mil increase for education amounts to about 40% of your overall ad valorem tax, not 300%, about 40%. And that's plus or minus a percent or two. So we're not, and the other thing is, our ad valorem tax in this county is pitifully low. Pitifully low. And at the same time, we're asking for a large increase of a very small number. If you're concerned about what your your effect is here, go to the revenue office and have them help you figure out what a 12 mil across the county increase is going to mean to you. Get it from the horse's mouth. Don't take what you read in the newspaper here. Somebody tells you about how high it's going to be. Go and find out for yourself. And it's a small price to pay to educate the children of this county, because the children of this county are the future of this county. You talk to people, how many walk around today, ride around today and see how many help wanted signs? Talk to people that are in business or in industry. They can't find people to replace the numbers of baby boomers that are retiring every day. We're in a crisis mode here. And we're just asking for a small percentage a large percentage, 40%, of a very, very small number. So think about it. What's the education of a child worth? I saw an advertisement on TV the other day. Contribute $19 a month to save an elephant. I challenge you, think about spending $20 a month to save a child, okay? That's it.
The 10 meals that we pay, or that we are reduced in our foundation program, is about 7.7 million. So that's what it's costing us to participate in the program. So if you extend that out, the 15 meals, and that millage rate changes each year based on lots of different things, but if you extended that out, and this was for FY22, the 15 meals roughly, and this may not be exactly correct, it's about 11.6 million.
Well, and maybe I didn't make myself clear. I was just talking about the portion that around the city that was being talked about, not the whole county. I know that number.
That 15 meal, that's what the 15 meals, if it was the same today as it is, I mean, next year as it is today, would be about 15, or whatever it was I said, 11.6.
Okay.
Let's get one quick question. I guess this goes to you guys. Have you thought about launching some type of marketing campaign to educate the community on,
We have.
Have you guys thought about launching some type of marketing campaign so you guys can dispel some of this misinformation that's going around, kind of explaining it, kind of like Mr. Manderson just did?
We have, but not knowing where we would be at this point. Now we have a focus with the bill that the senator has proposed. Now we have a focus of where we need to go. Things like that, cost money. We want to be good stewards of the money, and so we've got several things ready to go. Now, as soon as we get everything finalized and the bill is passed in both houses.
Anybody else? Well, I appreciate everybody being here this evening. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I usually try to end at about 7. This has been obviously a great topic of discussion, and we all definitely can agree that education is very important to all of us in this room. So I'm glad we at least could come together and have a discussion about it. Let's not lose the momentum here of this education topic, because it's very important to all of us. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Look forward to the next one.